I shouldn't heal myself. Tastes lemonade. We do not talk about the Day of the Doctor novelisation here. Unless we're referencing it or doing some sort of comparison or something. Well, for the purposes of this sketch, this is actually water, not lemonade or elixir. Oh, interesting. Well, okay. Well, in that case, carry on, I guess. Right. Okay, here goes nothing. Actually, now that I taste it properly, it's not lemonade, it actually tastes like water! Ah! I'm regenerating! Oh. Is it done? Doctor no more. Did he just take one of my spare cloaks? Doctors. Oh, better go after him or whatever.
I didn't want him to go. I didn't want him to go. I didn't want him to go. I didn't want him to go.
Oh, Paul. You were my favourite, until I realised McCoy was better. But still, you were great. You were so great. My hair is long because yours was until it wasn't. Okay, that's not a reason why, but let's go with it. You deserve the regeneration. But you are not the current Doctor anymore. I have to accept the new series being the canon now. But that is fine. No, don't mind me. Paul! Why, Paul? Why?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to this special Doctor Who review, the minisode The Night of the Doctor. So, The Night of the Doctor. The plot sees the 8th Doctor, played once again by Paul McGann in only his second television appearance, rescue this young woman called Cass, played by Emma Campbell-Jones, I believe. However, the rescue fails as Cass realizes the Doctor is a Time Lord and refuses to be rescued by him, as she hates the Time Lords and the Daleks for what the Time War is doing. It's causing destruction across the universe. The Time War has already started during the last few years of the 8th Doctor's life. So, by this point, the Time Lords and the Daleks have become as bad as each other, by the looks of it, from other species, and Cass refuses to go with the Doctor, which leads them both to their deaths, as the Doctor will not go without her, and ultimately the ship crashes on the planet Khan from the brain of Morbius. So the Sisterhoods of the Eternal Flame, led by Ulia, played by Claire Higgins, who will return in Series 9, resurrects the Doctor temporarily in order to give him the Exila of Life, or one of the Exilas, that will transform him into an incarnation that he needs to fight during the Time War. He has many different options, and ultimately, after some convincing, he chooses to become a warrior, in which he takes the potion made by Ulia herself and becomes the War Doctor, played by John Hurt. And that is basically the story of this minisode. It's basically the transition of the 8th Doctor into the War Doctor. As we never really saw the 8th Doctor's regeneration on screen. As Russell T Davies, when he brought back the show, he wanted the audience to jump straight in to the adventure without having to worry about that, so we just jumped into the 9th Doctor's era. Albeit it was hinted that this wasn't very long after his regeneration. So, the Night of the Doctor. This could be the best of the Doctor Who minisodes that's been made, mainly due to the fact that it gives Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor, another adventure, as he's only previously had the one television appearance of a TV movie. So, yeah, and the rest of his era, his tenure, has been relegated to expanded media, mainly the audios, books, and comics. So it's great to see him back having another adventure as the 8th Doctor. The only disappointing thing, it's only a 7-minute minisode, just under 7 minutes, which is a massive shame, because it would have been nice to have the 8th Doctor for longer. Either this should have been the opening to the 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor, or it should have been in its own episode in its own right, at least 20 to 30 minutes. 25 minutes special, like a classic series episode length. That would have been nice. Maybe show it on Halloween or something, or around Halloween weekend as a special featuring the 8th Doctor, just before we go into the Day of the Doctor. It would have been nice. I know it would have cost a little bit more time, but it would have been nice to make a Halloween special, perhaps, for the 8th Doctor to have one last adventure before regenerating into the War Doctor. And this stuff could either be the main plot of that or incorporated towards the end of that plot. Maybe it's the conclusion of the story. But we'll have to judge it as it is. I think if it was longer, it could have expanded on Cass's hatred of the Time Lords. We know the Time Lords and the Daleks are becoming as bad as each other with the Time War, but we could have learnt a bit more about Cass. She said she wanted to see the universe, so she joined a gunship. But we could have gotten to know a little bit more about her, as well as her own personal things. I also think the way it's handled in this story does make her look like a bit of an idiot. Ulia claims that she's wise, but I find her to be a bit of an idiot. She'd rather die than go with a Time Lord. Yeah, I think she was a bit of an idiot. I can understand her hating the Time Lords and the Daleks, but to go so far as to allow herself to die, maybe if we learnt more about her, it could have made sense, but as it is, I just find that decision to be a bit stupid. That's just me, though. On a story level, it makes sense. On a personal level, I just think it's a bit of a stupid decision on her part. And it's not even a pointful death. She's not even making a point or anything. She's just avoiding the Doctor. So, yeah, especially as he was about to save her. That opening bit was really good with them, though, and their interactions with each other. Again, if it was a longer episode, maybe there could have been a bit more of a conversation, although the quick exchange was pretty fun. Paul McGann, once again, is excellent. He's had years of reliving the character in audio form, playing the character in the Big Finish audios. But now he's back on screen, or back in front of the television screens, playing the same character he played in 1996, and all those the same character in the audio form from 2001 onwards, or 2000 on the production side, actually. But it's probably great for him to be back into those shoes, for not just for a photo shoot, but from actually doing stuff in front of some cameras. And he is fantastic. Paul McGann is absolutely fantastic. He was fantastic in the TV movie, and he's fantastic here. It's like he never left. He's been the incumbent Doctor for nearly 20 years. Of course, he hasn't really, because the following Doctors came, but in a similar way to how the 2nd and 6th Doctors didn't really get... Well, 2nd Doctor, we never saw a regeneration scene, and the 6th Doctor, we didn't get a proper regeneration story, at least not until 2015, with this brilliant anthology series, concluding with a great series finale. But like those ones, we didn't really get a proper send-off for the 8th Doctor. In fact, he was the one with the who'd had no send-off at all. So it was great to have this story send him off in a pretty interesting way, and we get to see the bookends of his tenure on screen, whilst the rest of it is relegated to expanded media. And McGann continues to be absolutely amazing. I also like Claire Higgins as Ulia. She's really great, and I'm glad she came back in Series 9, albeit she didn't do much, but she's a great character. Eventually, after some scenes with between the two of them, the Doctor decides to become the warrior, a warrior, and leads to becoming the War Doctor. My only issues around here is that the Eighth Doctor does start to act a little like the 11th Doctor. It's like something some of the stuff about 4 minutes. There's plenty of time. Let me do some stuff for 4 minutes. And the quip about the Sisters of Eternal Boredom. I think these are more 11th Doctor lines rather than 8th Doctor. I just feel like Moffat forgot he was writing the 8th Doctor for a minute and just wrote his how he usually writes the 11th Doctor or the 12th Doctor in a year's time. That's not really a main criticism. It's just a bit of a minor niggle. And they do spend a lot of time talking about it. Considering this is under 7 minutes, most of the time of the second half is relegated to the Doctor and Ulia talking about it. The Eighth Doctor not wanting to join the war, Ulia persuading him to do it, and then it eventually gives in. Although some good character stuff here, it does take up a bulk of these episodes. Again, if this was the conclusion or the climax of a longer episode, then it probably would be even better. As it is, it's good, but it does take a lot of time out of a short special, a short minisode. It's only 7 minutes, less than. But ultimately, the Eighth Doctor regenerates into the War Doctor, and we get some nice use of the archive footage of John Hurt, and John Hurt himself gets to say in his first line, "Doctor no more," as we then lead into the Day of the Doctor coming at this time it was released on I think it was Friday the 14th on online, and then Sunday the 16th on the Red Button. I think I could be wrong. Of November 2013. But anyway, so this was a great minisode prequel or prologue, I should say, to the Day of the Doctor. This is it's a nice tie-in for tying the Eighth Doctor to the War Doctor. Wraps up his era, starts off that story. The biggest issue is that it's too short. It's less than 7 minutes. For the eighth Doctor's final story, it should at least have been 20 minutes, 20 to 25, 30 minutes special, maybe even an hour if we could. Doesn't have to count as an episode of Series 7. You could put it in its own separate block, as it was, and do release it as a Halloween special. But we could have built up the audience's anticipations for the 50th anniversary with the return of the Eighth Doctor, who could also have returned in the Day of the Doctor. Again, bit of a missed opportunity there, but oh well. What we got is still a really great minisode. Paul McGann is fantastic once again. Claire Higgins and Emma Campbell-Jones do great jobs in their supporting roles. Their character's also good. Again, I would have liked to have a bit more to know about Cass's character and her hatred of the Time Lords. But what we got is her character's good, and Uli is a great character. And nice that we're back on Khan. It's a great setting. There's a few dodgy effects, but considering this is a minisode, it's not expected to be perfect. I mean, I'm mainly talking about that ship at the very start. It looks it looks like a paper ship, spaceship. It looks like a drawing or a painting, and it's on a picture drop box, and it's just like it's moving in stop motion or being dragged by a string or something. If this was a proper episode, it probably would have had a bit more of a budget, perhaps, to do that CGI effects. And also the title sequence is a cut down version of the Series 7 Part 2 ones, as well as a darkened one. So basically what we got at the end of the Day of the Doctor, kind of a blue, red, brown one, as opposed to the yellow, orangey, pinky, red one, as well as a cut down version of the theme. Still, for a prologue minisode, this was a really great one, and it was lovely to see the Eighth Doctor back once again, doing his stick on television. It would be lovely to see more of the Eighth Doctor on screen, but until then, we've got plenty of Eighth Doctor material elsewhere to experience, including more Paul McGann Eighth Doctor stuff. But as for TV, we've only got 2, which is a shame. I do think this is slightly better than the TV movie on a story basis. I just think it should have been longer. At the very least, extend it to 10 minutes. At least 3 more minutes. Come on, guys. It's only 3 minutes. We can have a 10-minute minisode at least. Come on, guys. Oh, of course, I think it should have been 20 to 25 at least, and up to an hour, or between that and an hour. But still. But at the very least, 10 minutes. Come on, it's Paul McGann. Oh, could you have even at least done 8 minutes because he's the Eighth Doctor? I wonder how much material was deleted from this minisode. How many scenes were deleted, if there were any, or any dialogue that was cut. Overall, The Night of the Doctor is a great minisode that has some great stuff going for it, especially a fantastic Paul McGann back in it. I will be giving this a 9 out of 10. Yep, it's a great minisode. It could have been even better, perhaps being a little bit longer and having a bit more detail on some characters. And I think the Eighth Doctor does act a little bit like the 11th in places, and I don't think it quite works for him due to the writing and the direction at those points. But then they're minor niggles. They're not really big problems. It's a great minisode. So here's a toast to the Eighth Doctor, Paul McGann. His era is officially finished. For now. Depends whether they'll do any more TV appearances with him. So, thank you for watching this review of the minisode The Night of the Doctor. Goodbye.